Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy. I am your host, Sean Devereux, and I am joined by our co-host, the anti-Brad, Miss Hillary Stallings.
She will have long blonde hair, world-class breasts, an ass that won't quit, and legs that go all the way up. Hey!
Yeah. How have you been? We haven't seen you since Gremlins, which
I'm
not sure. We're recording in advance, so it could be a week ago that we saw you, or it could be a month ago that we saw you. So
This is true.
Yeah.
I've been good, spending a lot of time outside. Working from home. That's about it. How about you?
I have been cooped up in here. I went out to get the mail earlier, which is why I am red, because I am Irish and I burn very easily if I had any contact with the outside. But other than that, I'm pretty good. I am pretty good. So as you alluded to briefly, we are doing the movie Tremors today. And
Yay!
We have a very special guest joining you. Let me pull him up. He is a member of Kamikaze Sketch Comedy. He is the husband of the lovely Alex Weller from the Pink Panther episode. It is Mr. Casey Kennedy.
Hey!
It took a second, but here you are.
What's up?
Not much. We just introduced you as a member of Kamikaze and the husband of the way more talented Alex Weller.
I will not argue with you on that one.
So we have invited you on this show, and you wanted to do Tremors. Not only Tremors, you wanted to do the entire Tremors franchise. But for this episode, we're only doing the first movie. So real fast, why Tremors?
Okay, so first of all, Tremors for me personally is very nostalgic because I watched them the first three when I was a kid, and I just loved it. And the things I loved about it as a kid are different than I love about it now, but it's, as a kid, I was like, oh, cool, underground worm monsters and Kevin Bacon, but now for me, the thing that's so fun about it is how it's like the only horror movie that isn't ever really scary. It's like a feel-good horror film.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is the first time I've ever seen Tremors. We're considering this a horror movie?
Kinda. It's like a sci-fi horror-ish, like a monster movie, I guess.
I would say maybe
Okay.
horror comedy. I mean, it's definitely a comedy.
Horromedy?
Horromedy, yes. How would you describe it, Hillary, as...
Oh my God. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like a Steven Spielberg style like monster movie. I don't know. Suspenseful. There we go.
Probably
it was yeah.
So it's like if it's halfway between Jaws and E.T.
Yes. That's perfect, actually. Because the worms are kind of endearing. But go on, Casey. Sorry.
What it reminds me of, and this is going to sound silly, but go on this ride with me. So I'm a big fan of the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. And it sort of has the vibe of Dusk Till Dawn, which is like when they say stuff, you can't tell if they're trying to be cool or if they're trying to be funny, but somehow it succeeds at both. You know what I mean? It's like, it kind of simultaneously goofy, but also serious. And that's kind of what's fun about it to me. It takes itself seriously.
It does.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't seen Tremors, basically it is a small town. Where are they? What, in New Mexico, Arizona?
Nevada, I think.
Nevada? Okay.
It's in Nevada.
So kind of a small desert town in this valley that are being plagued by these giant man-eating worms, I guess. They call them grabbers that can burrow underneath the earth.
They are called graboids.
Oh,
sir.
My bad. Sorry. Actually, Grabbers is another horror comedy movie that I would like to do at some point in time.
Wait, did they name them in this movie?
Yeah, they named
Graboids?
them.
They did? Okay. I don't remember that.
Graboids? Mr. Chang has this whole thing where he's like, we have to name them. Snakeoids? What about snakeoids? And everybody's like, no, that's lame. He's like, well, they just grab you from the ground. And he's like, that's it, graboids.
And it stars, oddly enough, Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, which is a weird pairing. And what I like about it, kind of going to where you're like, you can't tell if they're playing it serious or not. I guess because your two main characters, your heroes, are kind of dipshits.
Oh, come on, Earl. Now, this is low. We have got to set our sights a little bit higher.
100%.
No doubt. Yes.
But I always have a trouble with movies where the hero is really stupid.
Rhonda is the hero in this.
I
Rhonda
agree.
is the real hero. She solves nearly everything.
Yep.
Yeah. So these guys, they're just kind of two blue-collar guys. I like that they don't have the answers for everything. It's, yeah, like you said, Rhonda is the one that kind of is supplying, and she's a seismologist who just happens to be studying in the area that they end up getting hooked up with. So she provides all the scientific know-how, and these guys are just kind of bumbling idiots who succeed through dumb luck most of the time.
Yeah, she's our Hermione Granger.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But the town itself has just this great kind of assortment of characters
Yeah.
that you really kind of fall in love with, because essentially it becomes Jaws meets like The Thing, or your typical like kind of base Under Siege movie where you have this small group of characters that are holed up together trying to battle off these
Almost like a Dawn of the
monsters.
Dead. Like
Exactly.
the Dawn of the Dead when they're trapped in the mall kind of situation.
Yeah, they are trapped in this little town. All the roads have been cut off, and they just have to survive these giant man-eating worms that are getting smarter the more contact they have with humans, which I actually like that as well, that the worms are learning from their interactions.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
glad we had Casey on to talk about this movie.
Why? Why Casey? Oh, wait, are you saying Casey looks like a worm?
No,
Or are you saying that Casey is
no, I'm saying
Egyptian
that
hero?
you are talking a lot more about Tremors than Casey is,
Well,
Sean.
I was extremely happy when he picked this, because I loved Tremors when I was younger. I haven't seen it in a while, but I really, really, really love Tremors. I think it is this kind of perfect mix of like comedy and action and horror. All right,
Well,
it is my
Casey.
show. It is my show, so I'll talk as
This
much
is
as I
fair.
damn well please. But I apologize. Casey, continue.
Casey, tell us the characters. Who are the characters?
Okay, so the main characters are played by Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon. They're just these really dipshitty sort of guys who the whole thing, they have this running gag throughout the movie that they just want to get out of town, and it's just like, so it's one of the sort of subtle comedic aspects of the film where these guys are finally like, today's the day, we're done with this shithole life, we're gonna go start a new life, we're getting out of here. And then every single time they try to leave town, they finally get up the gumption to do it, and then shit just keeps going wrong, like at every single corner. And so they end up discovering like dead bodies, and then the road gets collapsed in on itself, and like they're just getting increasingly frustrated, like, come on, what am I gonna do, you know? And it's great. And then the town is populated by, well, first of all, we haven't even talked about the most important character in the franchise, Bert Gummer. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He is the prime comedic aspect of this franchise. Bert Gummer is a doomsday prepper. He is married to Reba McEntire in the first film, although she does not return after the first film. But he spent his whole life like amassing all the guns and ammo, and he built this underground bunker, and he's got all these MREs, and he could live in his base for like 10 years. And it just so happens that he finally runs into the one creature that he was not prepared for. And it's such a great, like, this guy spent his whole life trying to be prepared for everything, and happens to run into the one monster that can destroy his underground bunker because it lives underground. It's so perfect.
And what I loved about his character too is played by Michael Gross.
Yeah.
The dad from Family Ties. So I'm older, so I grew up watching Family Ties. And Bert is the polar opposite of the dad from Family Ties. He's very kind of soft-spoken, milquetoast. You're kind of your friendly dad, your typical nice guy sitcom dad. And then he becomes this doomsday prepper with 1,000 guns. Was awesome because this movie came out, the early 90s, mid 90s? When did it come out?
I think it was 1990. I'm pretty sure it was 1990.
Okay, so it was only a few years after, probably about 5 or 6 years after Family Ties went off the air.
Fun fact, they recorded, they had their first day on set the day after Michael Gross's last day on Family Ties.
Oh, okay, so that's even better. So it was,
Oh.
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, I just read that earlier today because I was like looking up trivia about it.
What about you, Hillary? What did you think about this movie?
I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. I am not great at watching horror movies by myself, which is why I didn't classify it as a horror movie because I wasn't like nervous watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked. I thought Kevin Bacon's character was really cool. I thought it was really fun. Yeah, overall, it was a fun, feel-good movie.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
For it.
And great practical effects. I haven't seen all of the rest of the franchise. I've seen the second one and then bits and pieces of some of the others where they rely too heavily on digital effects for the monsters and stuff here. Everything here was practical. Practical effects and really kind of cool scenes. There's one moment where they're running down outside of like the general store and they're being chased.
And the boards.
Yeah, the boards are flying up.
That was really, really cool. Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was really cool is that they use a lot of camera angles that are low, like from the worm's angle. Like they'll approach behind characters and it's like this low upward angle where as an audience member, I feel like this sort of like has like this trepidation, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You know? And I thought that was really cool. It's just a very subtle effect, but they use it a lot, and it's great.
I had mentioned earlier, but very, to me, similar to Jaws in the sense that you don't see the worm right away. It's probably like halfway through the movie before you actually see it in full.
33 minutes in. I marked that when I watched it today.
You see like the tentacle things every once in a while, but the actual giant worm itself, it's a while before you see it.
It was really well done, the way that they hid the monster from you. I liked it.
Yeah, which is, especially when you're dealing with kind of practical effects is what you have to do a lot because I don't think they didn't have a huge budget on this movie because it is a relatively small cast. I think the town only has about 15 people in it. With those 15, you only see like
14,
you don't see you don't see a lot of people. And a lot of characters get killed off right in the first half of the movie. They're just kind of like body count people.
Speaking of that, I love the special, like the little ways that they killed people, like the doctor and his wife. I love the showing the car lights at the end, like going in.
Such
I love
cool
the
shot.
The little worm tongue, like cracking like a tomato can. Like there were just like really cool little things that they would do with the worm that you could tell that when either the director was thinking of them or the writers were thinking of them, they were excited about these little ways that they could use the worm to make cool shots.
Or like when he's sitting on the tire and they're like, you have to get up higher, and he's just sitting there on the tire and it sucks him down through the tire.
Yes.
So cool.
Get off the ground! Move it!
No, Nestor, that's no good. Come on, you gotta get higher.
Or the reveal when they pulled the hat off of the guy's face. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
perfect. Like, because you can just picture his body underneath the sand and his face just like.
Well, we were talking about the population of 14. One of my favorite like small gags that they do in this film is when you first see the sign that says Perfection Valley. First of all, it's funny that the town is even named Perfection because it's a shithole town. But the fact that it says it's like Perfection Valley, population 14, elevation, and it's like 2 million meters or some ridiculous number. And then there's like bullet holes in the sign and shit like that. It's just so stupid. I love it.
They're a really kind of cool, suspenseful moments. Like they're in the general store, and it's come through the floor, and they all get up on the shelves.
Mhm.
And the girl, what's the Rhonda?
Rhonda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is jumping from shelf to shelf, and then they all kind of like topple over, and she goes flying out the window. And again, it's very much like a shark movie where, you see that a lot of times in like Deep Blue Sea and stuff like that, where something happens and a character gets knocked into the water, and now there's like this, will they get eaten before they can get back onto, dry land, where this is somebody actually gets knocked onto dry land, and now they have to scramble to get up, on top of some structure. So
onto the water tower. So
yeah,
it's straight up the
exactly.
water.
Mm-hmm.
Very floor is lava, like the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Which I can see kids loving,
I had nightmares about it when I was a kid for that reason. Like after I watched some of these
man.
films, like we would play floor is lava, and I would actually have Tremors nightmares. It's terrifying.
I like the use of the seismograph too for tension. Like at the very beginning, it would, show, like they would be standing in the background, and it would show the seismograph like going crazy. So you knew something was going to happen, but like, what was it going to get them? Or like when Rhonda walks away, and it's having that one camera angle where it's having the worm follow her, and she like gets in the truck just in time. So good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The seismograph reminds me, it's like a precursor to the cup of water in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So something else that I really liked about it is like they spend so much of the film trying to like kind of show you how not shit the main characters are, like how these dudes are bums. So
Mm-hmm.
like there's like 3 things early on that they just do just to emphasize like small subtle things. Like the opening shot of the film is just Kevin Bacon pissing off of a cliff. That's how the film starts. It's just this really wide, grandiose shot, and then when it comes in close, you just see him like zipping his fly back up. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is the kind of dude we're dealing with.
And
then
they're living in their truck, it seems, or they're sleeping in the flatbed of their truck. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Arguing over who's going to cook breakfast today and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then in the next scene, they're like working in the like, I don't know what you call it, like a dump sort of area. And they're literally using a toilet as a cooler. I don't know if you guys noticed that when you watch it.
Yeah, they keep their beer in the toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just so many little things like that where it's like they go out of their way just to emphasize like, hey, these guys are trailer park trash, just so you know. Don't forget.
The third instance, after that, they are trying to fix somebody's septic tank, and it explodes, and they just get covered in shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Even their first odd job is like doing a barbed wire fence. And if you watch Kevin Bacon, and I don't know if this is just Kevin Bacon being bad at hammering in like a nail, but he's like really bad at it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is your job.
It doesn't like Fred Ward after he goes in kind of like inspects it and just kind of like shrugs and then just keeps on going. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a real moment. Apparently Kevin Bacon pretty much just did that. Like he was just, he made the choice as an actor, like, I'm just going to be bad at hammering. And
really?
So whenever, well, that's what I read. I mean, I don't know if it's true, but apparently, like, you know, they liked it so much that in subsequent takes, they encouraged him to do that again.
Okay.
But I think they used the first take on that.
How about bringing back the barbed wire, the gratuitous pants moment at the end, or, you know, during the climax where Rhonda's got to take her pants off in order to get away from the worm. Yeah,
that was I didn't really realize how unnecessary that was, because I just watched the franchise like a few months ago, the whole series. And so when I watched it today, I was like, I forgot about this scene. Why the hell they just wanted to, they're like, hey, Rhonda, we got to get you to take your pants off for this scene. Is there any way we can
you got to be
get her pants
sexy
off?
at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she does get sexier as the movie progresses, because when you first meet her, she has like this big oversized hat on and zinc on her nose. And
but her last outfit is like some long ass khaki shorts. Like, I don't know that sexier as the movie would. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What do I know?
We were talking about the shit spray. I thought it was so funny in that scene how like he's like, I'm so close to leaving this town and never come back. And he's like, oh yeah, how close are you? And that's exactly when the shit just sprays everywhere. It's like another really good little like visual gag. It's great. I love their use of that.
And then some of the minor characters, the little kid, or I guess he's not a kid. He's probably what, like 14, 15
16 or something. Yeah.
Melvin, yeah, who is just a little asswipe throughout the entire movie. Like he's the one character like you're kind of hoping gets eaten by a worm.
It's got me! It's got me!
Yeah, why didn't they do that?
He reappears later in the franchise, and he definitely gets what's coming to him. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, good. Spoilers.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna say what happens, but he doesn't have a good time. That's for sure.
Okay. So for people who have not seen Tremors, or like myself, I hadn't seen it probably in 10, 15 years, why should somebody go out and watch it?
Me or Hillary?
Anybody.
Okay.
You.
To me, it's just such a fun throwback to the like animatronic puppet sort of monster films with this sort of self-aware campiness that's really fun. Like I get the vibe. I mean, I wasn't even born when the first one came out, but I get the vibe that when they made it, they knew that they were making a really campy film and just sort of had fun and like leaned into that. So that's what I love about it. It's like tongue in cheek, but also it does take itself seriously in a lot of ways. So it's fun.
Hillary, what about you? Would you recommend this to people, considering that you had never seen it before? Would you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely. I would. Kind of for the same reasons that Casey said. It's like a kid could watch it and I mean, I guess maybe get nightmares. But I still feel like it's wholesome enough for a kid to watch it, but still have a good time and like get a little scared.
I agree. I wholeheartedly recommend it. I'm a big fan of anything that can kind of merge genres. So it's a comedy. It's kind of like part action movie, and I would still kind of throw it under horror movie. It is a monster movie. It's not like, Freddy or Jason or, The Shining or anything like that type of horror, but it is still, I would consider it a horror movie. So I like it when people can successfully merge the genres. And I think they did a really good job merging all three of those genres on this one. So I would definitely highly recommend it. So Casey, thank you for bringing us Tremors. Really thank you, because like I said, I hadn't seen this in years. Now, just thumbs up or thumbs down on the rest of the franchise. So, should people go seek out the other movies?
You should watch up to 4.
Okay.
To 4. The fourth one is probably maybe my favorite one in the franchise. Because, and this is going to sound crazy, but this is really what happened. So in the fourth film, it takes place in like the 17 or 1800s, but they still have Michael Gross play his own character's ancestor.
Interesting.
It's totally ridiculous. It's like a lot of people in the town are like the same characters as from the first one, but in like the 1800s. So it's like very, they've got on like Michael Gross's character has a cane and he walks with a suit and he's like got a British accent. He's very prissy. And this is when he like discovers that he loves guns or whatever. It's so stupid. It's like the peak amount of being aware of how dumb this franchise is and just leaning into it. Like, oh, fuck it. Let's just have the guy play his own ancestor. Why not?
There is a new Tremors that is coming out this year. I suppose it's already been shot, and it's Michael Gross again, but it also stars John Heder. Napoleon from Napoleon Dynamite is going to be
I love him.
This movie as well. There was also in the early 2000s a Tremors TV show that lasted for one season on the Sci-Fi Channel. And then 2 or 3 years ago, they shot a pilot for a new series that Kevin Bacon started. He was going to return to the series with this new TV series, but the pilot never made it past the pilot phase.
Yeah.
So
Aw.
there could have been a new Tremors series TV show with Kevin Bacon in the lead, which would have been kind of fun to see. All right, so Casey, thank you for joining us on the Nerds of Comedy. Tell us, what do you guys have coming up? You've been very busy during this time. I mentioned you were in Kamikaze sketch comedy, but you got a bunch of other things going on. Tell us what those are.
Okay, so I've got a lot of different projects I'm working on, but the biggest two right now are every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We are releasing a new episode of Survivor Social Distancing, which is like, we did a fully improvised season of Survivor that's kind of making fun of the quarantine. So we shot it over Zoom and everything, but it's like, people all think it's like scripted and stuff. It's not. It's totally real. We do real immunity challenges. We do real tribal councils. It's just like Survivor, but everyone is improvisers playing characters they picked ahead of time. So it's super fun. There's a real cash prize to the winner, so there's real stakes. And then the other big project I'm working on, the first episode comes out this Sunday, which will probably have already happened by the time this episode comes out. It's called the URC, the Ultimate Roasting Championship. Basically, it's we get two local comedians, and have them do a couple rounds of just roasting each other back and forth. Kind of mean, but it's all in good fun. And those episodes are going to be like 12 minutes long. It should all be local people you guys know, and it's going to be really fun. So that's going to be on YouTube and Facebook. Check it out.
Yeah, and
Who's
I will
on
have
the first episode?
Who's on the first episode? It's Angel and Raph. So
I knew Raph was
very
going to
fun.
be in it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will have links to both Survivor and the Ultimate Roasting Championship in the links below, so you can check them out. Hillary, do you have anything going on creatively?
No.
No.
I'm taking a class, but that doesn't really do anybody any good. So
No. Do you have anything? Do you have any messages to give to our co-host Brad McMurrin?
I hate you. You suck.
There you go.
I co-sign.
This has been the Nerds of Comedy. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks
And
for having me.
we will see you guys next week.